Hello, Peter Baker here in my voice booth, about to start another recording. To my mind, many voice artists leave money on the table because they don't improve the flexibility of their voice or learn voice characters or voice acting to sort of get ahead in the game. You see, if you're a voice actor, learn some character voices and learn the true flexibility of your voice, well, you can expand into doing animations, and you can even create your own animations at home if you learn something like Adobe Character, so you'll be able to sell not just your voice, but the finished cartoons with the characters as well. As my head moves, the character moves. Oh, it's so sad you're doing all those talented animators out there out of work by doing it on Character Generator. Oh!
This software is rather magical, don't you think?
Oh yes, I agree. Meow. Wow, doing animation really is like the cat's whiskers, man. Wow. And then there's serious acting that you can get to learn the skills for video games and of course audiobooks as well. So to my mind, the world of voice acting are four separate worlds really. Standard voiceover work, audiobooks, animations, and serious acting in game work. At Voiceover Masterclass, we have an entire 4-hour-long video-based course packed with everything you need to know about the world of the voice actor, knowing how to improve the flexibility of your voice and to create and to assign character voices in the different worlds of voice acting. We even have our own 10-control character control panel, so you can create virtually unlimited styles of voices. But do you know the easiest way to get started in all of this is to tackle audiobooks? Many voiceovers don't touch audiobooks because they feel they can be very long projects for sometimes little reward. And in our course, we do actually look at the ups and downs of tackling this genre for voice actors. But the good news is, and something that many people don't realize, is that by having the discipline of spending a couple of hours a day in the voice booth on a single long-term project, it gives some structure to your busy and often usually haphazard freelance voice day. And the more you're reading, the more opportunities there are to practice and hone to perfection character voices. Now, on our course at Voiceover Masterclass, we go into great detail about the production of audiobooks as well as work in games and animations. But for now, here are some tips on audiobook work. Now, most people start off on the ACX site where they register, upload their voice samples, and it's where you'll find authors and publishers offering book titles that are open for audition. Now, I strongly suggest you only go for those that you really are interested in. You don't want to commit yourself to a couple of weeks of recording a book that you have no real heart in, or is on a subject that you don't understand or want to understand, or a fiction genre that you wouldn't personally read yourself. Very important that. Don't commit yourself unless it's something you really love, because then the listener will know that you love it too. So, here on the ACX site, you'll record audition scripts. Normally it's about 10 to 15 minutes worth. And the extract is usually to test out your character voices as well as straight narration. And often there are various characters speaking in your audition text to see what you are going to do with them. Now, the thing with audiobooks is that nobody is expecting you to give a perfectly different voice for every character that speaks in the audiobook, because it's not a radio play, it's an audiobook. The listener to the audiobook knows that the narrator is the only one there, doing all the speaking voices of the people in the book as well as narration. So the audiobook for us voice actors is a sort of halfway house between straight narration and proper acting. So the listeners know it's you, but you need to give a nod to each character's personalities. The important thing is to make them consistent. Why? Well, it's the same reason why you, the narrator and producer of the audiobook, needs to work with the author and/or publisher to create an audio version of the manuscript. The adaptation of the manuscript to audio form is absolutely essential. Many people don't bother doing it and it sounds awful. You have to do this before you record anything, and it will take you a long time in production to fix unless you do the preparation first. Sometimes books, particularly factual ones, will refer to diagrams, graphs, illustrations, which of course the listener to an audiobook cannot see. So these references have got to be adapted, haven't they? And in fiction books,
This is where it gets tricky sometimes because the listener can also not see speech marks. So, if two people are having a nice conversation with each other and the conversation goes on for a while, the author in the book isn't going to say Dave said and Sarah replied all the time, all the way through this long conversation. So that's why, from the narrator's point of view, both their voices need to sound different, because although you may be allowed to add in a few more he said and she said type remarks, generally the voices have got to sound distinctive and consistent as well. So you need to adapt these scripts, ideally in consultation with the author. If the author is not around anymore to tell you, then you've got to take things into your own hands. For example, if you're recording a Bertie Wooster book from the 1920s, for example, as I've done in the past, a sort of jaunty Stephen Fry styles narration would be fine for Bertie, and the butler Jeeves would be totally different, wouldn't he? The author, P.G. Wodehouse, often used the device of one character's line followed by the other character in a conversation without saying who said it. You can work it out from the beginning. But of course, the poor audio listener of an audiobook can't see speech marks. So how would you tackle this excerpt on screen now? Have a think.
So here I am in my voice booth, and I'll just perform for you now this particular section, how I would tackle it. Watch what my arms are doing, because I'll probably perform a lot of this. My left one is on the mouse, of course, here, on the old scroll wheel for the audiobook as it goes up. The right one will be doing the kind of conducting. But notice where my mouth is to the microphone for the various characters. When I'm Bertie Wooster as the narrator, I'm going to be close up to the microphone, a bit like this. And then if I'm Bertie Wooster talking to Jeeves, I'm going to be a little bit back like this, because the closer you are, the bassier it is. And it just sort of separates the two voices, because, as we've said many times before, the poor audio listener cannot see the script. They cannot see the speech marks. So it's up to you, the narrator, to actually make this come alive and differentiate the characters. Right, let's have a go.
I put all this to Jeeves. Odd his coming to me. Still, if he did, he did. No argument about that. It must have been a nasty jar for the poor perisher when he found I wasn't here. No, sir, Mr. Finknottle did not call to see you, sir. Pull yourself together, Jeeves. You've just told me that this is what he's been doing, and assiduously at that. It was I with whom he was desirous of establishing communication, sir. You? But I didn't even know you had ever met him. I had not had that pleasure until he called here, sir. But it appears that Mr. Sibley, a fellow student of whom Mr. Finknottle had been at the university, recommended him to place his affairs in my hands. The mystery had conked. I saw all. As I dare say you know, Jeeves's reputation as a counsellor has long been established among the cognoscenti, and the first move of any of my little circle on discovering themselves in any form of soup is to always roll round and put the thing up to him.
Now, did you notice how I tackled this in the booth? The Bertie Wooster narration I did closer to the microphone. Then, for when Bertie was in the conversation, I pulled my head away from the microphone as if I was the other side of the room having my discourse with Jeeves. Then you've just got to keep Bertie jaunty and Jeeves in his British butler style, almost bored. Of course, with two characters that are wildly different, it is fairly straightforward. But things get more complicated when you have two or three people talking together who have similar voice styles and maybe accents that are different from your own. You can, of course, make one character speak a little slower than the others, and one with a type of emotion that's unique to them, but we do far more on creating character voices and assigning them, not just in audiobooks, but also in video games and animations in our voice actor course at Voiceover Masterclass. It's aimed not just at existing voiceovers who want to improve their income and have the ability to offer more flexible voice styles and character voices. The course is also for existing actors. Maybe you're very confident about your natural performance side, but maybe you want to know something about how to earn a decent income as a voice actor in your own home studio and setting up your business. We have a full section about setting up a recording facility in your home, choosing a microphone, doing your sound insulation and treatment in the course as well. It includes a full illustrated downloadable transcript of the course, and we even give you templates you are welcome to adapt to put together for agreements and contracts if you work with clients and authors direct, making sure you get paid on time using our suggested staged payment system. So there's loads of information in our course to fully understand the various aspects of the 4 worlds of voice acting.
So check out the voice acting course at voiceovermasterclass.com and take your skills to the next level.